Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today we are getting ready while I tell you about the nightmare that my first Hollywood Hills party was. If you're new here, my name is BME Queen. I just moved to LA 5 months ago now and am still getting my feet wet and exploring this brand new place and brand new city. First, let's get started with some skincare. So I'm using this Fig vitamin C serum. This stuff is really good. Like, my skin actually really loves it. But let's get into the story. If you watch the My Worst Flight video, which is on this playlist, so you should watch it, and you know that I met someone on that flight. This guy, a personal trainer at a gym. He was like the people I had Ubered with to get back to LA. Go watch that video if you haven't already. Right, so I'd known this guy for literally 48 hours and he texted me and said, hey, what are you doing? This was the 4th of July and I didn't have any plans, so I was like, I'm not doing anything. He's like, do you want to come to this party with me in the hills? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? He tells me, oh, this is what I'm wearing, this is where the party is, you know, it is a pool party, dress accordingly. And I was like, okay, great, like this should be fun. It wasn't. So I decide that I'm gonna wear this really cute bathing suit top and I'm gonna wear like some linen pants that I have, and that's gonna be my outfit. So the party was 20 minutes from where I live, so it was super close, and he texted me when he got there and he was like, listen, let me know when you get here so that I can tell security to let you in. I was like, okay, cool. So I just used the Bioma moisturizing gel cream. I actually really like this stuff now. It's really light on my skin. It's been super hot in LA, so this has been really perfect for me to use like in the really hot, dry weather. But let's get into these eyebrows. So I pull up to the party and there is a valet. So the party is at a house, so it's a house party. And I've never been in this neighborhood before. The neighborhood's pretty small where like there really isn't a lot of parking. So instead I drive a little bit away from the house and to the main street, and I park my car on the main street. On the main street there is this park, and again, it's the 4th of July, so people are barbecuing, they're outside, they have little like street firecrackers or whatever, and the fireworks, and it was probably like 5 p.m. Like, it wasn't an unreasonable time for me to be out and for people to be out and, you know, enjoying the 4th of July, so it was a fine time. I parked my car on the main street and then I walk to the house. He, by the way, is not on the list for this party. So if you've ever been to LA, every single party, shindig, event, they all have lists. You gotta be on the list. It is the most annoying thing that I have ever experienced, but it's just, I guess it's the LA way, I don't know. Anyway, he was on the list. He was invited by someone else who was invited as their +1, and then I was his +1. So I guess in the grand scheme of things, I was like a +15 because there were other people that the guy that he knew also invited. Whatever. Anyway, we finally get into this party past security, and the houses are really cool. So it's like super retro inside. It has really cool designs, and I was like, oh, this is a cool vibe. But we keep going through the house and we go out to the backyard. Everyone's out in the pool. There's a DJ. Like, it's a party. But I quickly realized that we are probably the only 2 black people there. That's when I was like, all right, I need to figure out what this party actually is, because I don't think I'm gonna be here too long. Like, this really ain't my vibe. Again, this was like a last minute kind of invite, but fine. I'm going in with the Rare Beauty primer. I've also been loving this a lot. It's super lightweight. Like I said, it's really hot in LA, like really hot, so I need something light for my face. We're sitting at the pool and he's like, oh, I got you a drink, and it's like one of those canned margaritas, so it wasn't opened or anything. And I was like, perfect, great. I had a drink. There are other people that are walking by us and everything, and finally I'm like, who do you know here? How did you get us here? I want to know the backstory, right? So he tells me that one of his clients that he trains was invited to the party and knows the party host personally. So I was like, okay, great. Who's the party host? Like, something about me, I just want to know whose house I'm at. I want to say thank you. I want to be hospitable. It's just something in me that I have to do. Even if I'm not really like crazy about the person, it's kind of like, I have to do it. He was like, oh, you know, I think it's this girl. But he was like, I don't really know for sure though, you know, don't really like say anything. I guess it's a weird thing to say to people, like, thank you for hosting this party. I don't know, whatever. So I don't say anything to her. Instead, I go get another drink. At this party, it was actually super decked out. It was really cool. They had a few bars at the party, like throughout the house, that had like specialized drinks that you could order that were like on theme with the party. And there was also like a taco stand, there was a hot dog stand, a hamburger stand. Like they had food, there was like a snack table. It was like super nice, nicer than any of the house parties I've ever been to. So already I was pretty impressed. I just got the Danessa Myricks Beauty Yummy Skin Tint. I went to their release event to try this out. I'm using the shade number 12. This stuff is like butter going on your skin. It feels so good. Wait until you guys see it. We go to get some food and I start eating. Like, I mean, that's what the food's here for, right? Then we just hang out by the pool. Like, there's not really much going on. The music isn't great. Again, we're the only two black people in this party, so it wasn't expecting to be great. And then I realized that the host of the party grabs a microphone and starts doing like, you know, their like announcements and, you know, thank you everybody, yada yada yada, whatever. Then starts to perform. And I'm like, what? Is this a full out performance? It was. It was indeed a full out performance because the host of the party was a singer. And it was actually one of their song release parties. So that was a surprise. We're sitting at the pool watching this performance. After it's over, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. So he's like, yeah, no problem. At this point, it's getting dark, right? So it's probably like 8:15. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna stay here to watch the fireworks. Like, I'd rather leave now. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna stay for a little bit longer because my friend wants to Uber together, but I'll walk you to your car. So he walks me to my car. We are leaving the neighborhood and we hit the main street and there is not a single car on that street. Now, when I parked, the whole street was covered in cars. Like, I had to wait for somebody to come out of the spot to get into my spot. There was not a single car on that street. No cars at all. And I was like, oh my gosh, my car is not here. And he goes, are you sure you parked it here? And I said, yes, I'm sure I parked it here. I know I parked it here. In rolls a tow truck and they pull up and they pull the last car off the street. And I was like, where are you towing this car to? Because I think that's where you towed my car. And they were like, oh man, we only towed a Honda Civic. And I said, yeah, that's my car. This is the location for the tow center. So I call an Uber to the tow center. Right before my Uber arrives, the tow guy says, oh, you know, I can take you there. It was too late for me to cancel the Uber. I am gonna use my Fenty contour in the shade Espresso. I do wanna start using more powder contours, but I haven't really found a good one that I like yet. But when I do, I will let y'all know. I get in this Uber and we go to the tow center. By the time I get to the tow center, it is like 9 o'clock. There's a very nice woman at the tow gate and she helps me out. So I give her all of my information. So, you know, you have to like give them your license and then some version of your registration or your insurance or something. And luckily I actually had everything on my phone because otherwise I would have to go out to the car and go get it and, you know, do all that stuff. But I actually had a version of my phone because I had recently moved, so I had all that stuff. I pay for the tow, right? It was $365 for this tow. I was pissed. Then she says, all right, now we're gonna take you out to your car. And I was like, okay, great. And I look at my purse, which is a very, very small purse. I like to carry crossbodies, so I don't really do big tote bags all the time. I have this tiny little purse, and I look at my purse, and I don't have my keys. And I say to the woman, oh, I'm sorry, did I give you my keys by accident? And she was like, no, I don't have your keys. And I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I call my Uber, and I ask the Uber, did I leave my keys in your car? He goes out to the car, he checks, and he's like, no, there's no keys in the back seat. And I say, okay. And I call the guy that invited me to the party. He answers, he's still at the party. I hear it in the background. And he's like, hey, what's up? And I was like, yeah, so I don't have my car keys. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I called my Uber. They're not in the Uber. I don't know where they are. I need you to find them. So he starts looking for my car keys in this party. It's still going on. Like, it's still full-fledged people drinking, you know, doing things, whatever. And I can hear him on the phone asking people, have you seen a pair of keys? Have you seen some car keys? Have you seen, he's like, excuse me, can you help me? Excuse me, I need to look around you. Like, I'm looking for a pair of car keys. It was a nightmare. This is where the story has just started. I hear him looking for the keys and I hear him not finding them. And he's like, are you sure that they are not in your purse or at your apartment, you know, anywhere else? And I was like, well, I need the keys to park the car and they're not here. But I remember that I had my AirPods on my keychain. So I go to find my items and I look for my AirPods to see the location of them. Location says that it's at my apartment, which I know is false because I know I had the AirPods on my car keys. So it's like, you know, whatever. I'm gonna come back and find these keys because they have to be somewhere in this house. This is where I had them last. So I call an Uber back to the party. I'm also gonna use the Danessa Myricks Beauty blush, and this is in the shade Golden Hour. I love this stuff. I actually never used blush before I tried this out, and this is enough to have me addicted for a long time. I got 2 shades, but I'm using this shade today. And it's also super pigmented, so you don't have to use a lot. I love, and I typically use my finger to put it on, which I also love because I tend to forget all of my makeup brushes when I travel. I get back to the party. At this point, it is pitch black outside, and it is like 10:30. I find him, and he's like, hey, I looked everywhere, but maybe with more eyes, we can find it together. And I'm like, okay, dude. So we are tracing back all of my steps. We're looking for these car keys everywhere. I didn't really go anywhere when I was at the party. I was sitting at the pool and then I went to the bathroom. So there's only 2 places to really check, but we're looking everywhere. We don't find them. I finally go up to the host and I'm like, hey girl, I don't know you. I was at this party earlier and I lost my car keys. And she's like, oh no, I am so sorry. Let's help you find them. So she starts helping us look for the car keys. We still can't find them. It's been like 40 minutes of the 3 of us going around her home looking for my car keys. She's like, you know what? I have a cleaning service coming tomorrow. So if they find anything, I will let you know. Here's my number. And I was like, okay, girl, thank you. Really appreciate that. One thing about putting on blush, sometimes it takes away my contour. So I'm just gonna go over a little bit more with the powder contour to see if it like brings it back out again. But anyway, at this point, I still don't have my car keys. But I'm like, I need to get my car. I'm not leaving in the tow center. They charge you an additional $90 per night to keep your car there. And I was like, there's no way I'm paying any more money for this. I call my neighbor. This time it's about 11:15 and I know my neighbor pretty well, but we typically don't talk to each other past 9 p.m. So I call her. She thinks it's like a scam or a trick, so she doesn't answer. But then she calls me back and she's like, did you mean to call me? And I'm like, it's an emergency. I need you to open the apartment building to let me in because I don't have my key fob. Because my key fob was also on the car keys along with my AirPods and on the same keychain. So she's like, is everything okay? And I'm like, no, nothing is right now, but I will be back home in 20 minutes. I call another Uber to go back to my apartment. The one thing about being in the Hollywood Hills is that they don't have great cell service. And it's also pitch black, so it's really hard to see when you're driving. Instead of my Uber being a 20-minute drive, it was actually a 30-minute drive for them to get up, pick me up, and then get down and then go to my neighborhood. She calls me and she's like, listen, I'm sitting here, like, where are you? And I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm in the Hollywood Hills and I'm literally trying to get down right now. Like, it's so dark. I can't see anything. I don't know how the driver's seeing anything. Can you just wait like another like 10 minutes? Finally back to my apartment and she's like, where did you come from? What's happening? And I was like, I will tell you everything later. I go to my apartment, I grab my spare keys that I have, and then I call another Uber back to the tow center because I still don't have my car. I get in that Uber, which is a pretty quick ride. The Uber driver was so friendly and I felt so bad because I was in such a terrible mood. I was in such an awful mood and this guy's like, hey, how's your night going? Was your 4th of July great? And I'm like, no, it was awful. This is awful. So I get back to the tow center and the wonderful black woman that was at the front desk is like, hey, did you find your keys? And I'm like, no, I didn't find them, but I have my spare. So she's like, okay, I will get my coworker to take you to your car. So they escort me out to my car and I get there and there is a big fat ticket on my car. On top of me having to pay for the tow, having to pay for the 3 Ubers, I now have to pay for this ticket, which was another $95. I was pissed. So I get in my car and I drive home, and by the time I get home, it's 1 a.m. I left for this party at 5:30. It was either 5 or 5:30. and I got back at 1 a.m. This is the most expensive party I've ever been to. I had to get my apartment key fob. I had to get new sets of keys for everything. Still working on getting a key for my car so that I'm not just using my spare. But it was a party for the books. Now I'm gonna go in with the Revlon Color Suede ink in the shade Pure Talent. I love this shade and everyone on Instagram loves it too. I always get asked what the shade is, so I'm telling you guys all the tea here. I cannot get enough of this color. And then I'm gonna go in with my One Size Until Dawn Waterproof Mist. So yeah, that was my last Hollywood Hills party. My first and my last. I don't think I will be going to any more parties unless I do the valet, which I've been doing valet way more now since this whole thing happened. But if you guys like this video and think I'm totally crazy, let me know in the comments and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.